That's
amazing.
That's the sad part about this, that like, you having greatly creative people isn't really gonna win this race. It means you having people that know execution so well, so they can produce so much stuff. That's wins this race.
It's 4 a.m. and we're rolling the dice. Matei drops knowledge made of golden eyes. Felix with ads making those coins rise. Jack up designs, worlds chasing the skies. We're the 2.5 gamers, the midnight crew. Talking UA adverts and game design too. Matei, Felix, Shaka bringing the insight. We're rocking those vibes till the early daylight. Matei, UA, master eyes on the prize. Tracking data through the cyberspace skies. Felix stacks dollars like a wizard in disguise. Jack up's crafted realms lift us to the highs. 2.5 gamers talking smack. Slow hockey stick, got your back. Ads are beautiful, they light the way. Click it fast, don't delay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another super special, rare episode, or whatever we are calling it these days. We have a special guest, so it's definitely super special. And my name is Matej Lančarič.
I'm Felix Broberg.
And I'm Jakub Remir.
And we have...
Ritsky. Hey, nice to meet you guys.
Sorry, I just threw you under the bus.
I thought it was a thing, and then I would come later.
I know. No, welcome, Ritsky. Welcome back onto the show. Could you give our listeners just a brief intro, just to remind who you are and why you're great?
Okay. Hey guys, thanks for having me, and good to be back on the podcast. My name is Ritsky Shaputra. I'm a co-founder at PVX. We're a financing platform for gaming and consumer apps. We provide non-dilutive capital, growth capital for user acquisition, so you can scale your apps to their maximum profitable potential.
There you go. Nice. And today we are going to talk about what else than creatives, because as you all, dear listeners, might have noticed, we started talking about one interesting KPI or North Star metric or whatever. Felix, you mentioned it on the some of the last podcasts. The number of new creatives in the last 30 days, and we are kind of measuring this against different games that we review. And Ritsky is always is also doing this on his own and the team as well, and just interviewing different clients. And we thought, let's just talk about this because it's super interesting. So what have you been doing recently, Ritsky?
Yeah, well, firstly, let me just clarify that I'm not an expert in this. So I'm going at this problem as a journalist.
But we are.
So,
don't worry.
Exactly. So, but I've been doing a little bit of primary research, and we're fortunate enough to work with a lot of mobile gaming clients. So I just asked them point blank, like, what's your biggest pain point right now in scaling your games? And all of them point to their UA manager. Basically 14 out of 14 of them pointed to their UA manager and was like, okay, the thing that's blocking our scaling is keeping up with creative ideation, production, and testing. Essentially, that's it. And then they also mention that the companies that they are tracking, i.e. their competitors, seem to be increasing the pace of experimentation over time, creating even more pressure to keep up. So we decided to see if we can quantify this and dig a little bit deeper into the numbers. I'll share with you guys what we found shortly, but basically I showed this to Matej and I was like,
yeah,
what the fuck, bro? How can anyone possibly solve for these types of volumes? And voila, here we are. I'm hoping to find answers here on this podcast.
That's why we are here. We were also quite surprised when we looked at, let's say, Kingshot. We looked at what else? Last War and other companies. Blockblast as well. Vita Mayong and all of these. Like, how many new creatives in the last year? 10,000. Jesus
we even now have two podcasts based on creatives, one for AI ones and one for non-AI ones.
Here it is, yes. Which is 16,000 new creatives in the last 30 days, which is
nuts.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly.
And sorry, just to clarify on this, because I think we're using different platforms. You're using Sensor Tower, I'm using AppMagic, but
sure.
There's at least in AppMagic, there's this concept of creative, which is like
new.
Like, no, there's new creatives and there's just total creatives. But each creative that they show on the platform is basically like a bundle. They don't repeat like similar creatives. It's like because then it'll be really, really repetitive to show on the platform. So it's more akin to a concept, but I don't think it's a concept either. Anyways, we can get into that.
Somewhere in the,
For a concept,
in the middle, because
for a concept you would
be
need very heavy filtering, most probably by humans, which you cannot really do.
Yeah,
exactly.
But can we maybe just take a step back, Mattia, and can you just explain for viewers who are just joining us, like why Vita Mayong has 3,000 new creatives in the last 30 days and the UA benefits of that?
Because the creative velocity is the name of the game. Since we started talking about this, I think 2025 in January, and I said, look, these like companies with high or a big number of creatives and new creatives are going to win, because every time you add new creatives, the new creatives kind of get a little bit of a boost of impressions on some channels. And the creative fatigue on certain level of scale is quite high, so you need to rotate and refresh campaigns very frequently. On Facebook, it started to be quite intense, and I'm kind of adding new creatives almost like 2 or 3 times a week, even though the scale is not like hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if it's like 50K. It really requires significant amount of creatives to be able to go for profits.
The LDR or FYI, Vita Mayong currently hitting record metrics everywhere, 8 million DAU and 400, pretty much 500,000 downloads a day. So just saying.
So that's, I mean,
wow,
that's the 23,000 creatives right there. Because, you know, if you look at my kind of metric, when I see, like, when I know the game is scaling, is when I see their ads like 5 times a day on Facebook or different times. I mean, like, seriously, I'm just browsing like Instagram, Facebook, and I see the games like, oh, wait a second, I haven't seen this game before. It's like, oh, okay, let me check. So, okay, it's scaling, 5 creatives, but sometimes it's just 5 creatives, like the same creatives, which can happen. And then the game is kind of going to die quickly because there's not enough, let's say, the creative firepower. But when I look at Vita Mayong and I see 10 creatives a day and 10 different creatives a day, like, that's insane. That's really insane. So that's like how you actually scale these days. And I don't think it's going to be very different in 2026. Actually, you know what's going to be even more not problematic, but it's like even more like we're going to go deeper in this. It's going to be still about volumes, but the quality needs to go higher, because the bar is this is not going to be enough anymore. So we are screwed. 2026. Yeah.
And we haven't even started talking about playables on top of this.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a whole new world which is called playables, and let's not go there because there's going to be 10 podcasts, which is fine.
So wait, let's take a look at this, right? So this is the category that Vita Mayong is in, which we just looked up 23,000 creators, which they're dominating in terms of downloads, right?
Absolutely.
So this is ad monetized games. So let's just look at the top 3 games in that category. It's Vita Mayong, Tile Explorer, and Tile Club. So you can see that the ones that are the largest have the most creatives. So this is exactly what Mattia was talking about. The more creatives you have, the larger your game will be.
The scaling is.
The scale, scaling of the game, right? This is kind of what they talked about at Amplify for the AppLovin as well, right? That their algorithm kind of favors new creatives and a lot of new creatives.
It's not a lot of new creatives. They also have the creative sets these days, so it's slightly changed over the course of last few months. But as even Alexis mentioned that new creatives have like 5% of the traffic, and then based on the first 5% of the traffic bump, then the algorithm decides if it's going to get more traffic or not. If you just mathematically just go with more, then you will win.
Can we define what's new creative time-wise? Like, what, after 2 days it's not new anymore? 3 days, 1 day? Well, what would you say?
New uploaded creative. That's like the new batch.
But I mean, like,
and then
how
5% of the overall traffic.
Yeah, but how long is a creative new?
How long is new?
Honestly, like it can be 1 day, it can be 2 months. I don't really get the question. You mean new in terms of the algorithm, or new in terms of like until it reaches the 5% of the traffic, which is good. Like, it can be, depends on the budget. So it can be 1 week, because your budget is low, or it can be one day because your budget is like 50K per day. In that case, it's like half of the day maybe.
Okay, so once again, so 5% of the overall volume spend or UA spend
is going to be allocated to new creatives. When you upload them into the channel, you will get 5% of that overall spend. It's going to be allocated to the new creatives.
Okay, and
then,
if they consume more, then no new anymore.
Exactly, that's just the after exit learning phase.
Okay. I'm learning stuff today. This is good.
See,
sorry, just so I understand, is it based on an impression count or a spend? I guess spend and impression are related, right?
Exactly,
but like
spend and impression.
But okay, spend and impression, and this is when we had a conversation separately outside of this, and I was like, hey, I think you need to, back in my old school days, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, okay, we need to hit 50,000 impressions to like properly test this creative concept or this creative variant. Like, what is that number nowadays?
And it's also going to be very interesting on the different channels. I think what you mentioned might be connected to Facebook, for example. And then I said, I think you just need 5,000 impressions. And I don't think anyone uses impressions anymore. Because if you are a UA manager that's working on the game for some time, you add new creatives and you see immediately after maybe like even a couple of like hundreds of impressions, it picks up the spend immediately, the winner. Because what happens on Facebook, and everybody has this problem, is you have one or two best performing creatives and it's really hard to kind of find the new winner. So you upload the new creatives, you test it out, and there's like 7 different kind of frameworks for testing. But let's say for simplification, you're adding new creative concepts into the business as usual campaigns. So you add your new creatives there. After one day, 0 traffic or very, very slow traffic, which is close to 0. Then you add new batch, very similar. And then you add the new batch, and then suddenly one creative starts to spend, like even after hour of uploading.
If you're lucky,
you will see. But you will see these patterns after a while. So you don't really need like 5,000 impressions. You can see it right out of the get-go. You upload the creative, it's really like strong concept. It takes over the spend immediately. And you will see it in one day, basically. So that was like kind of...
Sure.
It's kind of really sad that like, some guy who's not doing this in a machine supported is like spending time like thinking about like the smallest little detail about this thing, and they have like 1 hour of limelight before they get shut down. It's like kind of sad.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't really force this, because even if you say, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna pause the creative winner that I have, so I will leave the room for the new creatives. You pause the winner, and other creatives will take over the spend for sure, but those will have worse results than the creative winner, obviously. So it's like, okay, you wouldn't have. Then people try to do a separate creative testing campaign. So let's say you're running purchase optimized campaigns. Let's do it in a cheaper way. Let's just try mobile app install campaign, test creatives, and then put winners into the business as usual. It's going to work only on paper, because you will find the winner. You will put it into business as usual campaign, 0 spent. It's the same thing. But you just kind of wasted 5 days of testing in the mobile app install campaign.
So I have a question. I did some quick maths, which is always fun, right? So Vita Mayong, 23,000 creatives in the last 30 days, which means every day, 766 new creatives, which means every 24 hours. So 31.9 creatives per hour. How the hell do they do that?
Man, do you think like they're doing this automatically? It's just...
Obviously, but like how do they do it automatically? Like this is insane. They do Vita Mayong, Tile Club by Gameovation. They do their creative output that they do in a month, they do in a day.
Well, look,
okay, so
they do automate.
Let's put this into context. So you automate a lot of stuff in the first place. That's like for sure.
Yeah, but how?
Man, just think.
Tools.
So you have a concept, and you put the concept into 7 or 8 different formats. So you need to come up with a different concept for each format. No, you just check it out. But then
like you change the color or whatever.
No,
or
change the color,
iterations.
Format, like just the format, like banner, whatever, and it takes counted as like 10 or 15 new creatives, which is just still one concept. So you saying they're doing 32 creatives per hour means that maybe they're doing like, I don't know, 3 per 5 hours or something, maybe. I don't know. You
They
really
have
need
also localized creatives and
exactly.
these
Like,
types of things.
you really need to boil down to the like how much concepts, like actual completely different concepts they are pushing out. It's not just like, because you have this one concept and then you like slosh it on your pipeline, and then like the pipeline automatically converts it to all these other formats. That's my guess. Which if you're not doing it efficiently, then you have this.
With 23,000 creatives, you need to have the automated pipeline for also, which is going to be not only just uploading the creatives manually would take you like
all day.
10
Ages.
days. It's impossible to do it like manually, seriously. Then what is really impossible to do manually is also translating, because Vita Mayong, for example, and kind of talking about this game all the time, they have so many different like languages. We saw English, Spanish, Portuguese, German, whatever else, also has to be automated and then just uploaded in bulk.
So how do you start with this? Let's say me and Ritsky, we want to start a game called Pita Mayong, and we want to get to 23,000 creatives every month, right? So for Pita Mayong, how do we start? Like what tools? Actually, no bullshit. I'm actually curious. Like what tools do you actually use for this?
So you call
Pita.
Maciej. That's first.
Yeah, you're gonna call Mattia, but like, come on, like
Obviously.
I want to hear this. Yeah.
Pita Mayong is great.
Yeah.
No, honestly, so you have tools that help you bulk upload, and you have 10 millions of them, so you can use that. But in terms of the creative production, first you start small and then you scale. I mean, you won't be able to scale from 0 to 23 creatives overnight. It's just like you slowly build the process, and the process is you have small team in-house, one UA manager, at least 5 video editors. That's my ratio, because that's very important. Some people have it the other way around, which is absolutely ridiculous.
5 to 1 creatives to UA managers.
That's my ratio that I kind of think I have 10 motion
But that's
designers.
Western
So
ratio,
my
no?
ratio is,
I think like Asian ratio is like 1 to 10.
Western ratio is a little bit different, but still, that's the ratio. You build that, and then you start you build the own pipeline, which is ideation, production, testing. In my case, testing is just uploading them to the business as usual, just not to waste time anyway. Then from this, when you start producing creatives on the weekly basis, then you start kind of working with external partners, so you don't really rely only on your internal team. And then after you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different external partners, you start automating stuff, and also in terms of the ideation and production, like everywhere where you can, you just try to be as effective as possible. And Felix, like, if you go and do Pita Mayong, I will say don't fucking do it. It's gonna be pretty hard.
Yeah.
But no, like, this is how you kind of start, and then just expand.
And then basically you use AI for video editing and editing the videos, or no?
AI is more for creation than editing, I would say, because
you can do a little bit of editing here and there. You have new tools that are going on to be on the market as well. But primarily, if you saw like my workflow just for creating random social media posts, like this is the same thing that you can do for UA. So there's so many options, man. Like I don't know where you should. Well, I know where you should start. I just told you.
I think when I think about it, I think there's a few bottlenecks, right? One is the bottleneck in terms of just creative capacity, like how do you create, and then obviously edit as well. There's also a bottleneck in ideation. Like I think some people are just like, how do I even think about, even as you were mentioning, like 3 concepts every however many days? Because if you do that for enough months, you definitely run out of freaking concepts.
You go to competitors. No worries. There's always stuff to steal.
There's always stuff to steal. Yeah, exactly. It's actually like the ideation part for start is very easy. Go to competition, take 5 or 10 their best performing ads, and then just use them. For Pita Mayong, I would try. For something else and my own clients, I wouldn't really steal this. Just like take inspiration.
So. Yeah. If we're doing Pita Mayong, I just go to Vita Mayong, and then I'll look, oh, this creative looks nice. And it goes like, this would work. Look, 14%. This one is going to work super well.
And like, if you're an Asian studio, you don't even do that. You just take the creatives, cut off the end cards, and run it. Easy.
Exactly. So, yeah, like that ideation becomes a problem at scale. But again, you have tools for that, and you have then if you run into this problem, it's a good problem to have.
But who is Vita Mayong copying? As in like
Other
after
genres.
23,000 other genres.
Other
Okay.
genres. Like you need to go like that's why we see stuff like Royal Kingdom or Royal Match, the big match 3 game copying King
Doing
Shot.
Vita-
Literally, they copying King Shot 1-1
and
in
they're
their
also
creatives.
doing blog blast creatives.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Exactly. So once you kind of capture a whole genre, you go outside of your genre because honestly, there are just 2 or 3 genres that are the best, which is 4X, and 4X, and everybody goes to 4X to steal their creatives. That's it.
and then you have all of these different things, and also when you run out of games, you go to apps.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And you are starting the same roller coaster again.
That's amazing.
That's the sad part about this, that like, you having greatly creative people isn't really gonna win this race. It means you having people that know execution so well so they can produce so much stuff. That's wins this race.
Yeah, it's not what creatives were in the 60s, a bunch of weed and hanging out. No, it's just copying.
But also I found out like I was always kind of saying and under the impression, like let's just test this and it's gonna be fine. Like we'll see what good data says. But now I'm not actually the same anymore because it really makes a difference if you know what you're doing and you're not just randomly testing shit. It just like comes up like this is great. Let's see. Now I'm kind of also asking myself like for a longer period of time, like okay, it's like what is this? I mean, do I care about like does it really spark any types of emotions, or is it just fake enough that it actually grabs the attention? And should it and will it gonna is it gonna work? And these questions even before I go and upload the new creatives, because then you can change quite a lot actually. We just produced one video for a gaming studio, and it's like, look, you know what's like, this is kind of nice, but then let's just also cut first 3 seconds because it's absolutely boring shit and I don't want to see it there. Also, same thing, it's a headline and we need to grab attention. I don't care about the headline just floating around in first 3 seconds. No, just straight to the altered gameplay, and then let's use that headline and just put it on the top of the video, and suddenly out of one video you have 3.
That's called experience. That's it.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Oof, this is an interesting discussion.
Yeah, like, so on the back of this, right, this is super interesting. I'm just wondering, right, we often joke on this podcast about the app police, right? Do ever companies sue each other for creative copying, or it's just not a thing?
I don't think
like Royal Match creatives, like they're so good, right? Would Dream Games ever sue anyone for copying them, like Match Villains?
But Match Villains is just not copying them. I mean, if you copy, it's just one-to-one, really. And even if they do it, like, who cares? I mean, there's like, again,
there's also like it's really hard to kind of claim the IP of something that's moving so fast. That has a shelf life of however long. But yeah, I think that'll be pretty tough.
Anyway, so Ritsuki, what does the clients also mentioned after you reviewed all the creative is a problem, basically, like how they can think about it, like what was the reasoning behind also the research and everything?
Yeah, I mean, the reasoning behind the research is that it's an extremely frustrating problem, and it's just like, you can definitely feel it if you're not moving or there's no momentum in your own company. You definitely feel everyone else kind of whizzing by. And so after hearing enough of it, I was like, okay, I really wanted to quantify the problem. And so if you allow me to share my screen, I'll share with you kind of what we uncovered. And I'd love to hear kind of what you guys think, whether this kind of aligns with what you're seeing. But just to start off with how we did the research. So we basically took actually across mid-core, hyper-casual, and casual. But I just want to talk about mid-core here because I think the revenue brackets make most sense on generally more IAP generating games. So we took the top 1,000 grossing mid-core games in tier 1, and we looked from January 2023 to September 2025. And then we categorize them between their IAP brackets, like under 500K to all the way up to 2 million and above. And then we looked at associated creatives, which is what AdMagic describes as like multiple visually thematic similar variants. And then we took a look at new creatives. So this is what we see. So if you look at the first chart on the left, just shows that like, despite CPMs becoming more and more expensive, there's still demand for it and increasing demand for it. Like
Yeah.
people are super hungry for more and more impressions despite the CPM inflation. But then if you look at the chart on the right, it shows that that also translates to the number of creatives that they're producing. And it becomes more and more exacerbated as you increase the revenue bracket. So the $2 million IAP revenue and above bracket is skyrocketing to like 400 plus creatives per month. This is average. This is not Vita Mayong. Vita Mayong will
Yeah,
kind
exactly. Yeah.
of skew this.
Just like,
But like 400 plus creatives per month on average for any studio that, or sorry, not studio, any game that's generating 2 million above on revenue, I think is pretty staggering. And this, if you look at it from a longitudinal standpoint, you can sense how you'd be very frustrated if you started in 2023 and you had the same system going on, and you realize everyone else is kind of shooting up. So that was like
if
the
you're the
first
same
indication.
system from 2023 until today,
You're
You're not there. You're non-existent.
you're
Yeah,
pretty much
then that's no good.
It would be really interesting to see the ratio of Chinese companies in the last segment on the right chart. I'm
Yeah.
guessing it's like 50%.
I'll get back to you on that one. That is an interesting one.
All of them. All of them.
Look,
But
I mean, the Chinese
this
companies-
echoes what you were saying, Jakub, which is basically more revenue, more creatives. Like if you have more revenue, you're going to spend it on more creatives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which brings us to the next slide, which is how many new creatives here. And so on average, about 40 to 50% of the total creatives are new on a monthly basis. So this definition over here is categorized as a monthly basis. I don't think that's surprising. For this 2 million plus IAP bracket, it's 253 new associated creatives per month, which I think is pretty significant. And we go back to the question of like how the hell do you create a system that allows you to do this. Also noting some growth spikes. I don't know if that's correlated to new systems or tools that are available in the market where suddenly, like especially the 1 million and above kind of brackets are kind of spiking in certain times. Is that AI? Is that, I don't know, news?
You have January right there, usually, which is the best time of the year anyway. And it drops a little bit in summer and then spikes back up for
Also, like
after
start
school.
of the year, we've seen a lot more AI models coming out into, like, it was something like March, I remember. There was like a lot of stuff coming into the market. Literally, like every week you had another video model.
It started, I think, last year when I was still here. I started doing like all of these like AI like experiments. It was October, November. So that's right there. What was before 2023? I have no idea. But last year, definitely.
Yeah, AI is definitely going to increase volumes so much.
100%. Like we said, 50% of the gaming companies are going to use AI next year in creatives. I mean, that's like, if they don't, then they are not going to be in this chart, unfortunately.
One thing that I was wondering, and you were talking about Vita Mayong, but I'm looking at this like top 2 million plus range as well. Like outside of the total UA budget, like what percentage or like how much do they need to reserve to just for testing whether or not these new creatives work? Like, how do you think about that budgeting?
I usually try to have like 10-15% budget allocated for creative testing. And if you are spending a couple millions a month, that's quite significant still. But I think not the main question is like how much money they should, or how many resources they should be allocating for the creative production. That's even like bigger question, because like it's like, testing. You can test things, and even if you skip testing and just start shoveling everything into the business as usual, then that's fine. But if you're spending, like these guys are earning 2 million, so I'm pretty sure like they're spending more than that, or around, or somewhere around to 2 million. It's going to be a significant portion of the cost from the marketing P&L as well, or the UA P&L, and it can be anything between couple of thousands to even hundreds of thousands of dollars per month just for creative production. And I'm not even going into the space about like these high polished cinematic trailers that cost quite a lot of money. I mean, now with AI it's going to be slightly less, but still, it's just, I'm not even going there. And those are millions. So That's
And
the real
do you,
question.
in your experience, Mate, like, do CEOs understand this? Like
Absolutely
that
no.
that
Absolutely no.
This
Not
should
in
be
the
on every
West.
CEO's wall. Is what they should ask every morning. Like, how many creatives did we come out with yesterday?
Man, Felix, I have worked with one company, and the CEO had 2 UA managers, half-time video editor, spending 10K per day. And I was like, guys, this is a very bad distribution of the workforce. I mean, 10K per day can be done by half of a person, not 2 UA managers. Where is your video editors? Like, we're like, where's like, oh, but we are gonna start working with one company. And like, when? Well, maybe in 2 months. Like, yeah, but we want to scale now. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we should do these like UA efficiency benchmarks,
Yeah.
man, because like
Yeah,
people
for
don't
sure.
even like, get the
yeah.
It was ridiculous. So,
You know-
no, they don't understand.
You know what I'm just thinking about? Like looking at these charts, right? So there's still a lot of number of creatives, right? But in context of this, it's even more impressive, these games that we reviewed in the last month.
Exactly.
Like The Tower, Level Devil, these Cinderella stories are even more magical now than they were 4 years ago. Insane.
So there's this one other chart that we were running, which I thought was quite interesting. But basically, if you flip this and you said, how many creatives does it take for you to reach 1 million impressions? You can kind of get a proxy to how your creative efficiency. Because if you want to get to 1 million impressions, how many creatives does it take for you to iterate? And what we see here is, I think, other than the 69 one, there's like a clear, like almost efficiency happening over time and also over scale of revenue. So over time, even this lower bracket is getting more and more efficient, getting to 1 million impressions. But also, even in 2025 year to date, there's a clear efficiency as you spend more money. So, or as you generate more money. This is telling me that
Experience, and you know what, yeah, you
Exactly.
know what you are doing.
there's maturity in the creative system or how you've set it up. And then if you survive for long enough, you learn from your mistakes and maybe you're able to kind of do this better. But I think it goes back to me thinking about these teams who they're basically led by these CEOs who are thinking, okay, I have a thing that works for me that's generating me 500K to 1 million, and they basically stay there for 3 years and trying to survive at that kind of using those systems. And I come to them, I'm like, hey, your ROAS is positive, you should scale. But the first thing that they're thinking in their mind is like, how the fuck, what do I have to do to do that? Nothing has worked in the last 3 years. Because you actually need a pretty drastic change in your creative system, I think, is probably the answer.
You know what's also quite challenging sometimes, because the trust of the CEOs, because sometimes this happens, like CEO is the only person that runs all the UA creatives, whatever, which they always should, because they kind of starts to understand like how it works. But then there's the challenge of, oh, I hired 2 people but they're not doing even half of the jobs that I was doing. It's not even close. They're like, how can I trust these guys when my creatives, which are just random creatives that I created, are just 10 times better than whatever they are doing? So then that becomes a problem afterwards. So interesting dynamics in all the companies.
I was speaking this year to a person who works in an ad network who's very clever, right? And he had a unique, interesting point on this, right? And he said that all these companies, because since 2020, mobile gaming has grown compared to now in terms of revenues by 6x. That's what he said. So if your revenues from 2020 hasn't grown by 6x, that means you're behind. And basically you've actually shrunk in real terms, right? And I think a lot of studios that don't understand this concept of a lot of creatives are the ones that are falling behind. Like if you're roughly the same as you were in 2020 compared to now, you're behind. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much different way of saying what we're saying every single podcast, why Chinese
Exactly.
are so rolling, steamrolling over everybody.
Exactly, right?
There's one more chart that I wanted to run by you guys. I thought there would be, basically my hypothesis was that there was going to be like a Pareto law or like a Pareto kind of dynamic where like one creative would generate the majority of impressions. Obviously, if you're doing 400 creatives, it's probably not going to be one. But I ran this analysis where I was looking at the top 3 ads of all of these games across every single month. It's quite sizable. Like the top 3 ads could generate, like, at max in 2023, there's a couple of outliers that were generating 24% or 49% of the total impressions of the game, which was a huge, I would consider that a Pareto. In more recent months, it's like 11 to 18% of total impressions in 2025, which is still quite a lot considering now they're doing 400 something creatives and the top 3 is generating 18%. And Mate, we were talking about like one company, I forgot what it was, but basically the case study was like, it took them they had to make 1,800 creatives for them to find the one creative that generated like over $1 million of UA spend. And sometimes I think like maybe you just haven't iterated enough or spent enough to find that one creative that could blow you up.
That's the thing, but sometimes you just run out of money until you find that creative. No, but like jokes aside, that's like it's a hit, like not hit games, but hit creatives. It's just one creative is going to change the whole CPI LTV equation, and that's it. I mean, but
it works exactly like that. Like take this year's
exactly
biggest
like
game, King Shot.
Exactly, yeah.
The whole game is built on that one creative that was taken from Stormfall, which is a Steam game, which is their like entry gate into the low CPI.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that makes 3 million a day plus. So like but then of course it's very challenging to find this one hit creative. If it's not, then everybody would be just
can't even imagine how many tries they attempted there.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because that's something we don't see. Everybody's like sees only the winning creative, but
which everybody then copies.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like it's all over every Forex game basically. So yeah, it's about that one. But
if only you could find a partner that would kind of split the bill with you on the UA costs and take risk alongside you.
Yeah,
nice.
I was just gonna ask you, Ritsky, what does this mean if you look at this from the eyes of UA financing market? Like, what does this mean actually?
So I'll tell you, like, I can tell you conceptually what it means, but basically in practice, what we've seen our clients do is they basically started to think about their UA budget, like 80% of their UA budget, as accessible from an external partner, right? And so they're like, and that includes not just the media spend, that also includes the creative production spend and the media budget testing spend. And if you're able to test or allocate more budget to testing this, you're just going to be more aggressive in creative production, in testing new channels and all of these things. And if it doesn't work, look, we share the risk with you. You have someone who shares the risk. If it really doesn't work for a long period of time, we're probably not going to continue funding you. So there's a balance there, but at least this gives you access to budget where you can test more. And then if you find a winner, then you know that you can double, triple, quadruple the spend on that winner. That's how it works in practice.
Yeah, because that can take 2, 3, 4 months until you find that winner, which is painful. But that's unfortunate. But it is what it is. And let's say
you do find the winner, right? Let's say like you don't know when it's going to happen, but let's say you do find that winner. Wouldn't it be such a shame that you don't have enough money to spend on that winner? And then you have to now think about, okay, I now have to go call these VCs and whatever, or I have to go and talk to these banks. You ideally want some way to access the capital as and when you see those winners. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, because if then you start raising, then until you raise and get the money, the winner is already dead. And
that's all I had to share, guys. But thanks for your inputs.
All you had to share? This was amazing.
Very good discussion. This is great. Yeah.
A lot of work, actually, by the way.
Yeah. We ought to generate this report for any one of your viewers who are interested. I don't know if we can put this on the link or like you can contact me. You can let me know, and we'll generate this report at least once a quarter, just to give you a sense of where all of this changes. And then there's this other thing that we're kind of doing, because a lot of the clients that we're speaking to, they find this like, yes, they have Sensor Tower, App Magic to go and like stock their competitors or different genres, but having to like watch all of these ads and spend a lot of time understanding and breaking it down is kind of painful. So we developed kind of a few properties to be able to break down all of these ads in the top categories. Like if you were looking at Forex, we can tell you what's in each of these ads. And then we basically publish a deep analysis on this. Mate has been helping us actually kind of validate these insights. And then we've been giving it to our clients and they've loved it. So if anyone is also interested in that.
Yes, people are already asking in the comments from our few of the last episodes, because we mentioned it on the Creative Trends episode that we are doing these trend reports with PVX Partners. So people are asking like where they can access these reports. So
Yes.
guys, this is it.
Yeah. We'll share more information about that very soon. It'll be open to anyone, and we'll also take requests for specific genres or categories that you want to kind of follow, and would love the feedback as well.
Yeah, you should, Mate, really think about those UI efficiency benchmarks, because we talk about these things all the time in terms of KPI, product, even admon, and like how many impressions. But nobody talks about like how many creatives per person or like ratios or whatever. There's a lot of like efficiency that's
stuff,
not utilized still, especially in the West.
Yeah, if you're a team of 5, you don't really have 2 UA managers.
Yes.
half like part-time video editor. Sure, yeah.
So
But
I guess the
that's for later.
TLDR for today is more money means more creatives, which means less problems.
Yeah. Okay.
More money, more creatives, which in the end means less creatives because that it creates more money.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Come
enough.
on. I mean,
yeah,
that was
been a great episode.
Rizky, thank you very much for coming on and sharing the data and for the great discussion. And also, listeners, if you want to reach out, I'm going to put Rizky's this LinkedIn or email into the show notes with all the links that we mentioned. Join the Slack channel. Also, if you have any comments, questions, anything, please do that or just add those into the comment section under the video on YouTube. And then see you next time, I guess. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Ciao.
Bye.